Yesterday, I spoke briefly about how a couple of years ago, actually over a decade ago, I made, was it a decade ago? Okay, it was like 9 years ago. I made a decision to quit my job and pursue my art career full time. At that point, I had been working for 6 years and I wasn't really happy at my job. I mean, I liked my job, but I wanted to take on bigger responsibilities that my superiors didn't want me to do. They were happy to keep me at the position that I was at, and they didn't want me to do anything else. And understandably so. It was a big corporation, and you are employed as a specialist on a specific thing. So that's what I was employed to do. But I wanted to change. I wanted to do something else. I was working as a technician, and I wanted to move more into software development because software development was something that I loved doing. I was making video games at my spare time, just programming, and it was like a perfect thing for me because I love programming and I love drawing. So it just made perfect sense. Like, man, I think at work, if at least I can do software development and in my free time I can just draw, I will be fulfilled. But yeah, they didn't want me to do software development. They just wanted me to do technician work. And very grateful for that job. I learned so much. I didn't like hate it. There's aspects of those skills that I have learned that are benefiting me today in my current job. By the way, my current job, I do software development. I do a bit of electronics, bit of technician, the stuff that I was doing, I still do a bit of that. So I work for a small company and tend to do a bunch of different things, software development being one of them, which is pretty awesome. But during that period, I felt stuck, like doing the same thing for 6 years. I was miserable. And I think 3 years earlier or 4 years earlier, I started taking drawing seriously at my spare time. And I just got so deep into drawing, and I loved it so much that that's all I wanted to do. So yeah, 4 years later, I was done with my work. I didn't want to be there anymore. I just wanted to draw. And by that time, I'd been working for 6 years. Like I said, I've saved up a bit of money, and I decided that it would be a good time for me to quit. So I was 29 years old when I made that decision. Quit my job. I had a bond at the time, a mortgage, and I sold my bond. I sold it to someone else, paid it off. I had a motorbike which I sold. I basically sold everything that I owned, everything, and I left the city. Went back home to my parents. I remember when I made this decision, I told my parents, "Hey, listen, don't worry. I'm not gonna be a burden. I'm just gonna be staying here with you guys for a bit while I build this little thing that I want to do on my own." I wanted to make comics, and yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make comics and just build an online presence. I had already started building an online presence, posting my art regularly, but my online presence was very, very minuscule. It was my followers were like non-existent, which is another thing that I think is important when you're gonna make such a decision to go full independent artist making money, you need to have a following online. You need to have built some sort of a brand, and that's what I was attempting to do. But my decision was, I will build this brand because now I have all the time that I need. I can focus fully on this. So the plan was build an online presence while making comics and sell my comics. And that was the plan that I started executing. I did that for 2 years, staying at home. But during that 2 years, I found that I couldn't stay consistent to one thing. I was still jumping around, I was still jumping around. Like, it started with me making a graphic novel, and then that transitioned to a web comic. It's like, no, actually, let me make a web comic. And I start posting a web comic online regularly, and it wasn't getting any traction. And my online presence as well wasn't getting much traction. And I started getting frustrated. Like, oh man, was this a bad plan? Because I'm here at home, no money's coming in, money's going out, but it's not coming in, And I remember pivoting again. So I decided to also write a novel. So I was doing 3 things at the same time. I was making a webcomic, and I was making like daily drawings that I post on my online. And then this new third thing now, which is I'm going to make a novel. And that's what I did for those 2 years. So about a year and 6 months later, my webcomic was still going, but it wasn't really... actually, even with the webcomic, I wasn't consistent with that, because I was, oh man, it's coming back to me. I actually had 2 webcomics going at the same time. Oh man, I had 2 webcomics going at the same time. I was posting daily, just daily drawings, and I was making a novel. So 4 things actually. So yeah, I did finish my novel. I published it on Amazon, the paperback and Kindle. And then I started sharing my novel with my very small audience online. And I quickly learned that I was actually advertising to the wrong audience. These guys were following my drawings. They didn't care about reading a novel. No one bought it, not a single soul. And that was quite a learning experience. So towards the end of those 2 years, I was running low on funds. And I remember during the first year, the company that I left, they actually called me like twice that year. Asking me, hey, do you want to come back? And I said, no, I'm still good. So I guess the sexy story would have been, I left my job, burned the bridges, there was no coming back, and I had to make this work. That would have been the sexy story. But the truth was, it wasn't that dramatic. I still had the options to come back. My bosses, because I left amicably, and I always maintained good relationships with the people that I worked with. So they were still keen to see me, to have me come back. So it's not like I was in this situation where I was like, oh man, I am doomed if this doesn't work. No, if it doesn't work, I'll just go back to work, So anyway, but the truth of the matter is I didn't want to go back to that company. I didn't want to go back to doing technician work, even though things were not working out at home. So yeah, anyway, towards the end of the second year, I was running low on funds and I was really, really stressed. I remember this one time I just broke down. I just started crying for like a straight 45 minutes, just in complete despair. Like, oh man, what have I done? This goal of mine is unreachable. This was a bad decision. But anyway, December of that year, the second year, I got a call from a former colleague of mine and a good friend of mine who was actually following me online when I left. He was one of the people who was cheering me on because he was so impressed by the fact that I left my job to do this. So he kept in touch and we just maintained communications over those 2 years. So towards the end of the second year, he reaches out to me. He tells me that he has joined this other company. It's a small company, and they kind of very small team. They kind of manage themselves. It's not like a big corporation. Very flexible working hours. The manager of the company doesn't really care about strict working hours and stuff. All he cares about is delivery. As long as we can deliver the product, that he's happy. So when he told me about this, and it's like, he says to me, listen, I want you here in this company, because he was kind of like the senior guy there. It's like looking for people. So he calls me up and says, listen, we could use your skills, man. I know you always wanted to do software. There's a software development position here if you're interested. And like I said, the hours are flexible. You can still do your drawings, and that felt like, just felt like it just felt like manna from heaven. It just at the right time where I was running low on funds, and this guy just calls me up and give me an offer of a lifetime, and the money was good as well. And I was like, whoa, yes, absolutely, I'm taking that. So I took a taxi straight back to the city, and I met with this guy. We went to a restaurant, we had lunch, we talked, and I was on board by the end. It's like, no, I have to. And because we met on the weekend, and on the Monday I was at work, and it wasn't really an interview. I just got there, I met the main guy, and we started talking about work. Immediately, we went to meet one of their clients, and I was started working, and it's been an amazing experience. But I don't think that would have happened if I hadn't made the decision to quit my job, which felt like such a big risk at the time, and it was. But it worked out. Things luckily worked out for me. And now I'm at a position where I'm like, I actually like my job. And I still love drawing. So I'm at a point where I'm happy to just draw on my spare time and then focus on my day job. I'm still drawing, and I've made peace with the idea that, maybe art will never be a source of income for me. I'm still striving to make that happen, but I'm not putting pressure on myself. If it never happens, I'm still gonna draw because I love to draw, and I'm grateful for the job that I have, and yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So if there's anyone who's listening who's thinking of making that leap of quitting your job to pursue your dreams, and you have actually made up your mind that you're going to do it, and you feel okay, maybe you don't really feel 100% confident, but deep down it feels like the right thing for you to do, what I would say to you is go for it. All the best. Go for it. I truly wish the best for you, and I hope things work out for you. In fact, I believe things will work out for you. And if you are at a point where you want to take that leap, but you feel like it's too risky, you have other obligations in your life that you need to think of, and making such a risk, although you want to do it, it just feels like too big of a risk that will put you in a very compromised situation. I will tell you, listen to your instincts, listen to that voice. Maybe this isn't the right time for you to make that leap, and give yourself some grace. It's okay. It's okay that if you decide not to make such a decision because you feel it's risky. You know your situation, you know your life, how it is, and only you can make such a decision. No one can tell you what the right decision to make is. Deep down, you know. And I would say, listen to that voice. It's a very hard thing to do, to admit that this is not realistic. Like I said in yesterday's video, the word take realistic decisions, it's not a nice thing to hear, but a necessary thing to hear in most cases. So yeah, it could be that, hey, you need to think realistically about this, and go at a slower pace. You know, sometimes we do things not because we truly believe that it's the right thing to do, but because we are in such a hurry. We are in such a hurry, but there's really no need to rush things. Just take your time. I mean, if you're for my case, I had to make that decision because I was miserable in my job, right? But I had the luxury of not having children, not being married, just being a single guy, and I have saved up some money that could actually sustain me for 2 years. But some people don't have that luxury, right? Even though you're in let's say you're in a job that is terrible, you know, your colleagues are terrible to you, your bosses are just terrible people. Yes, it will be, it's an unhealthy situation to be in, but for some people, leaving that job is not an option because they have other obligations. Like I said, they might have children, they might be married, you know, they might not have the funds to take care of themselves without that job. So I completely sympathize with a situation like that. So like I said, it might not be very realistic for you to do it, and I would never tell you to do it. I would say only you know truly what the right decision is. So yeah, I just wanted to share this story, which is a decision that I took that has drastically changed my life. Luckily for me, it changed my life for the better. And yeah, I just wanted to share this story with you guys. So yeah, thank you for checking out this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.